You're listening to Hall and Hudd. Two guys talking about things. This show contains strong language. Listener discretion is advised. Let's start the show. Welcome. I'm the host of the Hall Space Podcast, Dr. Rich Hall. And on with me is my Hall and Hudd co-star, Terry Huddleston.
Yo.
Tell the people what's up, man.
What is happening?
And we are breaking down 2020, breaking down some thoughts and feelings about the year that was 2020, a year that started out so optimistic. There were all those people who, kept saying 2020 vision, and
it was a marketable year.
Right.
It was like it wasn't. It was like, I think we were looking at what felt like the end of, the orange one, and he said, "Hold my beer." And
because we went into the year they're trying to get him impeached. There was definitely some people were feeling very hopeful about the system. Hopeful.
Let's be honest, man. Let's put a finer point on that. White people were feeling hopeful about this.
Yeah.
Like, so it's ironic to me that when, the system breaks down for them, they lose their mind and rioting. But when we like a cop goes in and shoots people in their bed or something, let's just say that happened.
Yeah.
It's kind of a debate, maybe she deserved it somehow.
Yeah.
It's weird how justice works for.
We're vaguely talking about Breonna Taylor.
No. I'm just saying hypothetically. We don't need to express. If a guy gets shot in the back a bunch of times, maybe we should try to figure out if he kind of deserved it somehow. Like if it's karma. That he got shot in the back.
Well, that's the mental gymnastics that white supremacy always takes when it comes to
hypothetically, if a guy gets like choked because like somebody's on the back of his neck, like let's
over a counterfeit. Are we talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Possibly passing a 20.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm doing hypotheticals here. Like
I'm speaking about George Floyd.
I'm not. I'm just saying if that happened, God forbid, if that happened, like let's look into seeing if he didn't kind of deserve to die somehow. Let's see if he was a bad guy.
I think that's often the leap that is taken, and I think that's interesting that you're speaking in hypothetical terms because that's often how people try to sort of frame it as if it's rhetorical and not proven. What's the word I'm looking for? Like a proven inequity that just gets
hypothetically.
It's not hypothetical. It's actually happening. There are Negroes who find themselves.
If a black woman gets pulled over and ends up dead an hour later, hypothetically.
I wish it was just hypothetical. I wish we were talking about some fantastic land where these things could happen.
Well, we're living with nerd culture, so a lot of fantasy and made up stuff. So I'm just doing these really dramatic hypotheticals of what if this happened? Wouldn't that be crazy if that all happened inside of 1 year?
Yeah.
And yet you had to kind of convince people that we had a problem.
I would say this is the biggest, because of the focus, Black Lives Matter made the biggest impact, I think, that it had. It had been around since 2015, since Trayvon Martin. But
I disagree, man. I disagree. I feel like All Lives Matter had a bigger impact on me. Like I didn't realize that All Lives Mattered until they came out with their slogan, and then I started really digging into
that's when you really realized how ironic it was that you hadn't really valued.
Yeah, I hadn't realized that All Lives Matter. I was looking at these in particular race groups as lives, and now I'm like, oh no.
Right.
All Lives Matter. Oh shit! How did I miss that?
Yeah.
So that combined with my hypotheticals, it really made me realize that all lives matter. Right?
You didn't know before. You needed to be told.
I didn't know. I did not know that Superman cared about all lives, not just that crummy Black Lives movement. Like,
that Kryptonian immigrant. What are you talking about?
That son of a, it's just.
Of course he'd care about all lives.
And for anybody, hopefully you don't edit this out. I'm being a straw man
I know.
On all this, because it's actually the way I've been winning debates with people. And by winning, I mean getting them to move off their positions, not me making them feel bad, but them going,
turning to the absurdity.
I see it now that you said it that way.
Yeah.
And this works for the left and the right. I had a buddy of mine who was on the left, and he was kind of saying some genocidal stuff. And I was like, man, it almost seems like we should systemically marginalize those people because we don't really like their ideas being in the ecosystem of our social politics. So if we could just figure out a way to get the system to exclude their voice, that'd be great. Yeah. Like, we already know how to do it. And he was like, oh, wait, I see what you're saying. And I'm like, yeah, that's what you're saying. You're saying the exact thing that we've been saying. And once again, this is a guy from the left. Like, it's due to cognitive dissonance, it's easy to
it's very
not
easy.
see where, you're going wrong at.
Well, yeah.
But when unless you hear it kind of rephrased in a way that snaps you out of the illusion. So, that hot take being said, but I do feel like it's apt for 2020. 2020 has been the year of cognitive dissonance. Jesus. Mm-hmm. That's the t-shirt slogan.
Yeah, I'll agree with you for sure there. What year? I think it's because people are having so many of these out loud conversations. I don't know which year was we learned that these are.
No, this is a year. We had to do it en masse. Like, we literally had to en masse sit in our house and like disassociate with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it wasn't like we were interacting with it and coming up with kind of centrist views, which most people have, whether they're even extreme right people still come to the center when they got to go to work. They're not going to work with their QAnon and all that stuff because they know they gotta live. But
at least they put on the mask.
You isolate them. You isolate the left and the right. Jesus.
Yeah.
They start reading their own fan fiction, and it got ugly. And as a social anthropologist that I am, it was interesting to study society when you just take away one little thing. Yeah.
It was definitely an ugly year. I think maybe it's the raised in the Reagan era in me that it's like, oh, we're supposed to have leadership that at the least inspires us, right? Those who grew up with the fantasy of the greatest generation, the mythology.
I felt like I was on a football team where the coach only cared about one side of the team, whether it be offense or defense.
Yeah.
And it was like, hey, I don't care if the offense goes out there and gets tackled and sacked and hurt because I'm here for the defense. It's like, you need both things operating at peak condition.
No, they're able to tell themselves for
the team to win. Like, we need the team to win. Like, no. I don't like that quarterback.
You can't trust.
I want him to get sacked. Like, if he gets sacked, we're not going to score any points, right?
Yeah, you can't.
We'll figure out a way. Matter of fact, I'm going to start a battle in between my offense and defense within the team, and let's see how that works.
Yeah. I mean, doesn't that speak to just sort of the nature of, in order to keep power, you need these squabbles. So
yes, you do. But anybody that's read a comic book or some generic sci-fi knows you want to have an external threat. Like a little kid knows this. Like, you don't want to have orcs versus orcs. It's orcs versus elves.
Also, you're forgetting how often comic book arguments break down to, who will win in a fight, Wolverine or Batman. Like, they want the good guys to fight too. That you need to choose a side. That primal human need to dominate just sort of activates people on a level of this. We have to fantasize about what happens when the gods fight.
Well, look, and it was
not that they're here to save us, but they must fight amongst themselves.
And you are absolutely right about that. But we had a natural check on that. It's just like obesity. Our current problems are like what obesity is to, like, imagine obesity in 6000 BC. It's just something that did happen. There wasn't enough food to go around for somebody to just store a bunch of calories. Yeah. Right. And so the person that was obese was probably rich. And that's why fat cats and terms like that kind of got mushed together, because if you were fat, then that means you had a lot of extra resources and you wore them on your body. Now, of course, we don't have the checks against overeating. we don't have the checks against over marginalization. And on top of that, we've mechanized both impulses. And when you mechanize both impulses with no natural check, like they can make us infinitely mad about an infinite number of things.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's a craving. We're never going to be satiated. And so what I've come to, and this goes back, it's still going to loop into nerd talk, but
yeah,
like I've really adopted the No Country for Old Men mantra of the Killer, which is not to be an edgelord, but he does say something profound that if the rule you follow led you to this, which was Woody Harrelson at the end of a shotgun about to be killed, what good was the rule? And so if you're like, I'm a constitutionalist and I believe that the founding of America was the best thing, like that's cool and all, but if it led you to being the most angry and the most marginalized and the most upset you've ever been in your life, then what good was the ideology in the first place? Like you're actually more angry. You've had a Republican president and you had a Republican domination and you're still angry.
Yeah.
Like you're angrier than you've been in your whole life. You feel more threatened than you've ever felt in your whole life.
More afraid. Yeah.
And so I think that my color purple, you told Hoppo to beat me mentality in life of knowing that shit can get taken away from me and shit can go sour. I'm like, I'm not as threatened by, the ebbs and flows of things. It's like, yeah, they took that or they tarnished that or that guy fell or that guy rose. It's got nothing to do with my internal well-being. But I feel like people that actually believe in the American dream in the sense of something out there is going to make me happy internally. They're going to be perpetually angry. That's what's weird. The belief in the American dream actually ensures the dream is not going to come true. That's the great American irony. If you believe in the American dream,
because you're believing in the dream and dream, we like to think dreams are for idealistic purposes, but in reality, they limit your work ethic.
The American dream is one of the most powerful modern, was one of the most powerful rhetoric tools in America, in our arsenal. It was more powerful than nuclear bombs because it was the thing that made countries.
That's one of our greatest exports is the American dream.
Yeah, exactly. It made people want to be us. Yeah. Like you've never heard people go, man, I want to destroy Disneyland. I'm sure there's that weirdo out there that said, oh yeah, the edgelord. Right. People don't want to destroy Disneyland for a reason. They want to go to Disneyland. They want to be inside.
They want to be a part of it. Yes.
Now, if Disneyland and Disney, one thing you can talk bad about Disney all you want to, Star Wars, the saccharine sweet, blah 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 blah. But what Disney isn't is bigots. Even though Walt Disney definitely has his history.
Yeah, I was going to say they're a little. They're very Eurocentric.
Trust and believe they want everybody's money.
Yeah,
that's why they are one of the first companies to cater towards colored people.
Yeah,
not because they're good people, because they knew way ahead of time that there's money in there.
Yeah,
that's why they came out with, not to say it was the first black superhero movie, but it might have well been in this new age of supergiant black hero movies, Black Panther first. Like DC could have aced them with Static Shock years ago. They didn't do it. If you look at Static Shock, we had this conversation in another conversation. Yeah. Static Shock is Miles Morales before Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Same story.
Yeah. Is that not like, and in talking about Chadwick Boseman with coworkers, and talking about the not recasting him, one of the conversations that I had was this idea that I was told for years that African-American heroes wouldn't sell, that it was often the only thing we care about is the color green. And since these characters won't sell, then, we just can't bring them to the big screen because essentially it would be a waste of money is almost what's implied in there.
Not only was I told that
white supremacist ideology.
Not only was I told that, I actually believed it. That's the difference than being told that. I believed it. I was like,
how could we not believe it? That was, you were given that message over and over again, and even given examples of Meteor Man and Catwoman and, you know what I mean? Like Steel, like all these, underfunded, under budget, horrible movies, then
of course, Blade comes out, but that still wasn't enough to change the zeitgeist.
I mean, but isn't that sort of the obtuseness of white supremacy, right? This idea that, they fed themselves their own ideology, even at the time, like Eddie Murphy was the best selling, person in film and television, but couldn't foresee how you could make, Wesley Snipes was at one time, but before he made Blade, I think he was trying to make Shaft and he was trying to make some other movie. He tried to make Black Panther and couldn't get it off the ground. Yeah,
I would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah, that would have been amazing.
Blade and Black Panther are pretty much the same thing. With gadgets,
Yeah, well, one is underground and kind of angry and dark. Whereas, Black Panther could be. We didn't quite get that version, but
we didn't quite.
So, that lie that it goes back to that other that article that I mentioned, probably in another podcast, where it's literally cost the United States and the world billions of dollars.
We talked about this before when we were in a more political bit, but about how I never sell diversity as a morality thing. I think that's the wrong tack.
Nobody should be the right tack.
Nobody gives a shit, man.
In America, it's better to sell it as
nobody gives a shit about the right thing to do. But go, hey, guess what?
It's costing you money.
You're missing out on all of these things. And what's fascinating about 2020 is that we got being social taken away from us.
Oh, absolutely.
And
which is a main human motivation.
The way you can compartmentalize it, you can go, because I hear a dual narrative. This is my interpretation of the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
I hate people, especially people that don't agree with me.
Yeah.
And I wish they would just unlock America and let people go out. And so you're kind of like, one hand, once again, this is the cognitive dissonance.
Uh-huh.
You hate people, especially people that don't agree with you.
Yeah.
But yet you want these same people out there working the machinery that make your life more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Like you need the NPCs in this video game to populate your world.
Yeah, but you think you're independent. Yes.
You think that liberals are communist infiltrators but you also kind of want those liberals out there spending money at the mall.
Right. You need that. You don't have the comfort of this nation without...
and the same thing from the right and the left, they hate the toothless masses on the right, but yet they kind of, need them working them factory jobs to keep shit going. So...
the idea that the nation cannot divest itself of itself. And what's interesting about so many of these concepts that I think you're bringing up is that Black America, to some degree, has always known this and not been listened to with regards to many of these ideas. We know how
this has been the schadenfreude that I've been supping on all year. Every problem I've heard has been previous generations of Black problem.
Yeah.
Man, it seems like these people are just literally fighting over a color of one's bandana.
Yeah.
Man, these Black people are backwards, fighting over red and blue. I mean, how stupid can you? Oh, wait. The whole country's fighting over red and blue right now.
Right.
The whole country's blood and Crips right now. And I'm not talking like that lighthearted. They're going to go work together. These people, I'm telling you, I heard murder on both sides.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're
ready to kill each other.
Right. If they could get away with it, they would.
Even if they can't get away with it, some of them still doing it.
Yeah, well,
right?
True.
I've always said, I understand the 2-year-old little Black girl getting killed in a drive-by. It's a tragedy. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But that dude wasn't aiming for her.
Right.
With white killing, they aiming for the 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, that's their target. And that's them. So when anybody says that, like, what about... Nah, man, like, nobody's accidentally getting killed in white terrorism.
Yeah.
Like, they're killing exactly when that motherfucker went into the church. He wanted to kill everybody in the church.
Right. In many ways, it's sort of, whereas the gangland drive-by shooting is a senseless, it attacks that part of the ego that needs control. These other shootings are an exertion of that white male ego, right? That I need to control by terror. So if I have to run up in a school full of children and shoot as many of them as I can, that's my exertion of control. And it gets so lost in the sauce.
They muddy it up on purpose.
Right.
Like this Nashville bomber. Yeah. They just kind of say blankly, had a manifesto, believed in this.
Yeah.
Nothing to see here, folks. And I'm like, man, this is the white jihad that's been going on for a long time. And I've been calling it that for before Trump.
Yeah.
Because I saw it coming. So anybody that thinks I'm just trying to whatever, no.
No.
If you've ever been in the military and you study where terrorism comes from, it comes from ex-cops that are ousted in Iraq and Iran. When you do your new system, you don't give them a place at the table. So people that already know how to shoot form paramilitary systems that we call terrorism, and they fight.
Yeah,
that's what's happening here. This is nothing different. There's usually a sex component. Weirdly enough, it's a bunch of beta young men that can't find sex, can't get women. They get told that it's society's fault.
Yeah. I mean, and think about what that does. You know, when men can't get that stabilizing factor that is a family. You know, a family kind of takes you out those responsibilities and obligation and need to compromise kind of takes you out the system. So, you know, you just got to internalize that rage. You can't just let it out on society. And so, yeah. When you do things like exclude certain guys from,
I used to hear about the honor killings. I used to hear about the honor killings in the Middle East, and I had a racist sensitivity to them. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. Where I'm just like, you know what? These are the worst people ever created. People that throwing acid on women for nefarious reasons. And then I realized two things, and I pointed this out before in another conversation as well. That like if you point out, and I'll bet actually once again another successful tack. If anybody's listening. Don't tell people they're pieces of shit. Nobody's gonna listen.
No one listens to that. Yep.
But if you rephrase, if you keep people calm, they'll actually talk more honestly. 1, 2, then they'll give you stuff you could actually use and recontextualize from in real time. So if I say something like, "Man, nobody does you worse than black businesses," and I could just take it and go, "Man, he's right. There's nothing being worse than done wrong by a black business." And this is a true story. And this is another by a fellow black guy. And I was like, actually, it's not that it's worse because you've been done bad by white businesses. You're just more sensitive to being done wrong by black businesses. Right. It's the same kind of wrong, but when a person that looks like you does it, you are hurt like a raw nerve because you had your guard completely down. And so when we get an unexpected shock from somebody that we think is on our team, it's more like a betrayal than the normal.
Yeah, when you expect it to be seen by that group and to be mistreated by that group is
but
you're more vulnerable to.
I'm back when fucking Game of Thrones was good. Littlefinger, expect everything pretty much, and I expect there to be some Don Kings of the world, and I expect it to be some Obamas of the world. Y'all take that how y'all want to, but there's some slick black people too. There's some slick white people too. I don't take it any more or less. Like, well, if I get done wrong by Mexicans, then that just proves my point. Like, no, you just got done wrong by a person that is a piece of shit.
Right.
And so, I've said this previous, like people go, you voted for Obama because he's black. But I'm like, nah, not really. Like we didn't vote for Jesse James or
Jesse Jackson or
I said Jesse James, Jesse Jackson.
Yeah, you did.
And what's the other dude? Al Sharpton. Because we knew they were grifters.
Lawrence Tucker,
Yeah, we knew they were grifters. So we never
ran.
They weren't.
There have been many who ran. Who we did not elevate.
I do want to get into this point about 2020 that a new revelation that I've had, but I think it needs pointing out is, and I don't mean to be finger pointing, but I'm curious. It's fascinating me, especially towards the end of the year. I realized that the right is especially susceptible to being grifted. And it's not to say that they're stupid, but they're perfectly aligned to be grifted. Like every time a rug gets shook, like the grifters come crawling out.
Well, I mean, one of the best grifts that you can pull off is in religion, right? That's one of the easiest ways to trick people.
Well, usually people tie that together.
Yeah,
like that's always a part of the grift. So that definitely, I won't say it goes without saying, but like
it's easiest to grift people when you can put on the cultural indicators and use that against them. And what is more sacred than the sacred? And since time immemorial, there have been people who will grift the people who rely on the sacred. Like that's just the way it is. And by virtue of the Republicans being so ensconced as the party of, family values and all that marketing they've been doing for the last 50 years, that is whole-scalely false. but it seems to work for some reason. It's fascinating, but also sad.
It's sad to me, and I'm not saying the left can't be grifted.
No, absolutely.
But
left is
left,
often quite frequently grifted.
Well, the left is so contentious within itself, and still what I consider a healthy way, where they're always like, well, we don't like the way you're doing that, and they're always, it's a constant critique, internal critique. I don't feel like there's an internal critique of the right of itself, except for the big one where, like, if you're not pro-Trump, then they're calling you a traitor. But then they're just lumping you in with the left, like this deep state conspiracy theory shit. Yeah. But with the left, like, I don't like the fact that Al Franken 20 years ago did a thing, he's out. So it's harder to come in with where, like, everybody's believing the same bullshit all at once, I guess is what I'm getting at. Yeah, but you can grift the left with, like, the best of intentions, though. That's one thing. Like, you can grift the left like, hey, if you do this with this, so this will feed all the kids in the world. And they're grifted, right?
Absolutely.
But the right is grifted by, like, the weirdest shit. Like you can stop the pedophilia pizza ring from happening if you donate to this. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, it's happening. So and so that's what I mean. It's not that the left's smarter. No, human being can be grifted. It's just the fact that the right has so many obvious grifts.
I wonder if not, and I'm not sure if I didn't read this somewhere, because their ideology is so black and white. That's why they're sort of open to so many, absurdist fantasies, because it's like they got to have something. And so if you already believe in space God so deeply that you're willing to, kill people because you believe he thinks you should, then you're also going to believe that, there's an underground pedophilia ring that's being run through Wayfair. It's like conspiracy theory begets, cognitive distortions and genuflecting. You know what I mean? Like they're willing to twist themselves.
Well, I feel like with anybody that has a Judeo-Christian mindset, really the derivative after the Torah, because I feel like Jewish people don't really have the same mindset as somebody that has the religions that came after the Torah. It's a persecution complex. Like, it's almost like a kink. Like, they need to be persecuted in order to get their rocks off. And so without some big King Herod style entity that's so big that we got to fight against it, then I feel like they don't feel complete unless they're being persecuted. And the odd thing is there's no giant atheist organization that's out there just locking people up in cages. And
you don't need an organization. You can just say the world, right? It's always
the world, right? The world. Or the deep state, or this ill-defined group of people that you kind of make a fan fiction on. These are the ones that are trying to destroy our religion and destroy everything. Right. When in point of fact, if I'm evil, McEvil, I'm keeping religion around for damn sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like that's the first thing I'm keeping. I'm doing more religion. I'm not doing less religion.
Yeah, I mean, what's fascinating, once again, if you look back to how they were able to keep the populace, one of the reasons we have so many Christian holidays, quote unquote, is because they were like, oh man, we need to get these people under control. They're not listening.
Go back and say it, the real thing. And I know you probably don't know, we have so many Christian holy days.
Yes.
Right? Like it's built into the syntax of the language.
Right.
But only because they're just pagan holidays.
And they need to get those pagans under control. Yeah, that's where I was going, right? Like, so, it was like, well, we can co-opt a religion, or we can just say, hey, your holy day is now one of ours.
And then we can form a thing where, like, how dare they, years later, how dare they blaspheme Christmas?
Yeah.
Like, get the hell out of here. You don't even know what it's the celebration of Christ, who wasn't born in December.
No, he was. The Bible says it, right? I don't know.
I think we might be celebrating the winter solstice when the literal sun dies for 3 days and comes back if you live in a certain area of the world.
No. This is all about how the Holy Land. He was born and star in the sky. And,
well,
they set trees on fire right here. They're incense and myrrh. He gave gifts, and so Santa Claus and I don't know, rabbits. I don't know.
It's hilarious how pagan the actual Bible stories are, and people kind of still don't see it. Like, so he had 3 holy men from 3 different countries, pre-Christianity, that came to visit him.
Wow.
It's kind of like there were other religions before.
No. One God. Monotheist. Mono.
I mean, are they just submitting their, like, hey, there were other religions, but we're all submitting to you? Because our different religions, which we never learn about, by the way, they're never going to teach us, prophesy Jesus. I mean, think about if you're writing a fan fiction, right? You're going to write it where Marvel and DC prophesize your new character.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you kind of write it in like, no, they're totally in the mainstream. Like, matter of fact, Marvel and DC came to see my character.
They knew to get out the way. Yeah.
And so my Image Comics ripoff is the real thing, and theirs is actually fake. You know, that's the great trick, right? So
and
if anybody I lost, I'm just talking about when somebody makes a facsimile of another pre-existing character and then turns around, i.e., once again, Miles Morales. Love him, but he's a ripoff of Static Shock. I'm sorry.
What's funny is I'm gonna bring up. I don't know if do you watch Star Trek Discovery?
I didn't, but me and my wife were talking about starting. I
genuinely just binged, literally in the past week or two, all 3 seasons.
So much contention around that show.
I had my own misgivings because it's not Star Trek. Star Trek can be so boring sometimes. And as a person who's watched Star Trek literally all my life and have not watched an episode for real prior to this in, maybe a decade or 2, I was like, this isn't quite Star Trek. I watched Picard. I did watch that.
I heard people didn't like that either, though.
I think purists wouldn't and kind of shouldn't. It's not the same.
Yeah.
But one of the things that's so interesting about the show, about Star Trek Discovery, that I think parallels the point that we're making here is that show literally pivots constantly around the main character, Michael Burnham, which is weird because, in previous Star Treks, it was the captain and it was a ship full of people and they all got their own arcs. And it does a version of that, but it always comes back to the main character. So I think that's a really good example of, like, she's almost messianic in her, when she has a problem, it's everybody's problem. And if she has a solution, she's the only one with the right solution. And people argue. And I think the story does a lot of really good points of, like, no, this has to happen this way because we've backed ourselves into a corner. And it's hopeless. No, it's not. Michael Burnham has an idea. So I think that once again illustrates that idea that when you're writing the story, of course you make your main protagonist at the center.
Yeah, you make her a Mary Sue.
Right. I don't think she's not quite a Mary Sue, but
I haven't seen it, so she sounds like a Mary Sue from what you're saying.
Yeah,
but.
No, I mean, she is. One of the good things about Star Trek is it's scientists in space, not warriors. Now, there's a lot more. It's a lot more different. Like, they're doing all kinds of karate and whatnot now, because they got to keep it interesting and tantalizing. It's pulpy, so I think people go into it expecting hard science because Star Trek. But
but even the original Star Trek wasn't hard science, though.
Yeah, I know, but people want to think it is because,
Yeah, they definitely want to think it is.
And
Kirk was fucking a lot of green women and doing a lot of kung fu fighting. So.
Right. And if you go back to original Star Trek, it's more on par with that. What if they took some of the sensibilities of that, some of the trappings, and was like, we're just going to make a fun ride, and by the end there's going to be a space battle with ships in it. And you're like, oh, okay. And I could leave it on the background while I was playing Fallout and, not have to pay full attention to it and be interested a little. Once I got past the rocky first 3 episodes, I was like, okay. And I got all the way I'm up to the season finale next week. I'm caught up to that frustrating point whenever it comes to binging a television show where you're caught up and you have to wait for the real episode to come out in real life. And I'm glad I waited till I was right up to, oh, okay, I just got to wait 1 more week and the season ends. Because if I had binged it 2 or 3 weeks ago and had to wait an additional 3 weeks, I don't know that I would have stuck with it or been as invested as I am now.
Yeah. For stuff like that, I try to use a metric of objective storytelling structure, and then is it for me? Because it's nothing worse than somebody watching something outside their genre taste. Yeah. They go, man, it sucks. Like, did it suck, or maybe it just wasn't for you?
Yes, I think if we go back to Lovecraft Country, I think that was some of what was happening with you in Lovecraft Country.
No, Lovecraft Country sucks.
Boo.
Yeah, sorry.
Boo. I disagree.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's where drama comes from. That's why we make two good characters in this podcast, because we disagree. And I'm not trying to hot take. So my wife actually pivoted from liking the show till by the time it was over. That's what my wife said. Don't put me in it. By the time it was over,
so I won't say that it failed, but it wasn't a spectacular failure. I enjoyed what they were trying to do, and I enjoyed all the pieces they got to play with to do it. And that's probably me as a creator talking, because I don't know that I wouldn't nerf the ball myself. I would like to think that I wouldn't, but understanding how hard it is to make quality television, and they were playing with all the pieces of a thing that I would want to play with if I were trying to make a thing like that. And so I give them the benefit of, sometimes you read a story and it's like, you're trying to appeal to me. I see what you're trying to do. I don't quite love it, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I was somewhat entertained. You didn't quite get there, right? It's like it's like eating a kind of bad piece of cake. It's not horrible, but it's also not what you were. You know what I mean? It's a lot of empty calories.
I like some of the episodes.
Yeah. Oh my God. The Hippolyta episode, to me, honestly, I will forgive them for so much. I forgive them for the end of the season.
I knew you were going to bring that up. That's the one that...
Right. That's the one where they were playing in a much wider lens. Even it had its limits, but I was like, you know what? I'll give you that one. I'll give you the entire season for that one episode. And there are many shows that I'll forgive a lot for. You swung for the fences. You missed more often than you hit. You know, in retrospect, I'm not as in love with Watchmen as I was.
Damn, you really do want to fight. Okay, all right.
Here's the thing: I still like it, but there's still that layer of whiteness that makes me go, what were you doing? Did you get that as square as you thought you did? And I can't remember. Was Watchmen 2019? I think Watchmen was fully 2019, right? Like, that's not 2020.
Yeah, it was 2019.
Yeah, but we were still processing.
It predicted 2020. But
oh my God, yeah. Definitely. I don't. So I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying I find Watchmen a little more assailable than I did when I.
It isn't. But anyway, you haven't. And this is I'm breaking my rule of. You just don't get it, bro. But the benefit I have is every time a new episode would come out of Watchmen, I would rewatch it up until that point. Yeah. And seeing the layeredness of that plot. Yeah. Because Lovecraft Country don't work that way. Like, there's
no. Lovecraft Country did not stick the landing. Watchmen totally stuck the landing. I will give Watchmen.
They stuck the beginning, middle, and if you go back and rewatch it.
Yeah.
And I know I've seen your TV viewing habits. You be falling asleep from a long, hard day of psychoanalyzing. you need to go back and rewatch it and knowing what you know. It relies on you having a meta knowledge when you watch it a second time, and it's fantastic. Yeah. That's all I can say about that. Like the very first scene hits you like a rattler. You're like, oh my God. They mapped this whole thing out expertly, and that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Yeah, I will say I appreciate that.
But Watchmen is one of those shows where I'm not gonna like if you didn't like it. Once again, we talked about
so here's the thing. I'm not saying I didn't like it. I'm saying I now have critiques that I didn't have.
But if you're saying it's more assailable than Lovecraft Country, that's
I wasn't doing. I also was not doing that.
Oh, okay. Because Lovecraft Country was.
So these are different universes completely. Lovecraft Country did not have a hand at the wheel in the same way.
It felt like a bunch of like 20-year-olds, 20-somethings made Lovecraft Country, and they were just kind of like, wouldn't it be cool if? Yeah. And so it had a youthfulness to it.
Yes.
That type of subject matter, but at the same time, it didn't have like I didn't feel like the life experience behind it.
Yeah. No,
I could be wrong about the 20-somethings, but
15-year-old me would have loved watching that show. 15-year-old me would have fallen in love.
You couldn't have watched it. Your mama wouldn't let you watch all that.
Yeah, I know, but I would have found my way to it because I found my way to things like that. Like I would have.
But the one thing I didn't like.
40-year-old me is like, nah.
it failed to get me invested into characters that I liked. Like I didn't care about almost anybody. Like I almost did, and then I didn't. Like I maybe I want to call him Omar. I know it's not Omar.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
His character,
the dad.
The main character wasn't interesting enough to carry the show.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Where it went was big dumb hero moment, like I gotta die because plot. Like Hippolyta ended up being like, hey, so this is your character, guys. Like this is a unique perspective.
She was the best character of the show.
She's
but
not
once again,
big
it was a show created by a bunch of women. So well, in reality, they bit in that arc, and they should have just carried that through all 10 episodes or whatever. But instead, they just kind of snuck that in the back door. And we're left with, but I mean, I got a bunch of other characters I don't love nearly as much as this one character who gets one episode. And I'm like, this is her show. This should be her show.
They got rid of the like it should have been about her and her husband. That would have been a nice 1-2 piece. Yeah. But it just felt.
I mean, if you think about it, Lovecraft Country, these two people who travel around the country, writing the Green Book, like there's a lot more there than,
there you go.
They're going from place to place, solving strange mysteries. Yeah, that's a show.
The characters were too one note. So you got angry main character man.
Yeah.
Fought in the war. All I do is fuck whoever the main woman is in every arc and get mad at him later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Debate me. That's all he does.
No. I'm not.
That's all he does. And then there's the women.
And always on the back foot. Never quite ahead of the story until the very last minute.
We want this man.
He has a plan, and that plan doesn't even come to fruition. It's
but we get angry and frustrated. And next, it's like it was just weird. It was weird and like I never liked that type of racism depiction. Mm-hmm. Not to say it doesn't exist. But it just rings false to me. It makes white people out to be like these ghoulish monsters. Well, I know some people are like, that's what they're not.
That's like, what they are. Yeah, I mean,
like, they're just they got
Lovecraft Country was hitting that same. I mean, also I believe that the person who made Lovecraft Country also made Underground, but which was the show about the Underground Railroad. But like they were trying to drill home. The monsters aren't the monsters. White people.
They overdid it. Overplayed their hand.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was not subtext.
And it doesn't help that I have the watch Fargo season 4.
Yeah.
Handled racism perfect.
Do you feel like Fargo season 4 stuck the landing? Because I felt like there was a little bit dropped at the end.
If you haven't watched any of the other seasons, then you wouldn't feel that way.
I watched all the other seasons.
They all.
And I still felt a little bit like.
I just rewatched season 2 and 3. Yeah. And both of those, they actually ended very similarly, where you get unsatisfactory endings.
Yeah, you're right.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ian McGregor gets shot at the end of his arc.
I mean, that is totally Fargo, though. You're right.
That's Fargo. Like that, nobody gets out. And
even if the bad guy wins, he does not win. That's pretty much the show.
You talked about forgiveness and stuff. Like the fact that Fargo dealt with race so deftly makes me forgive a lot of the little hiccups. Yeah. It showed you that without making her into a nigger monster, that the killer queen nurse, angel of death nurse, knew what her white privilege was versus the little black girl, right? Who was actually smarter than her. Yeah, turns out, but doesn't matter. She still got less power.
Right.
It showed me that early America
was turn on that left and right whenever she needed to. She turned that up and turned it down.
She turned it up and down. Because I actually didn't assume anything about her at first. And then she started doing little things like, oh man. And she was just passively racist. Yeah. She wasn't like,
she was passively monstrous on every turn, but also racist.
But she wasn't like,
kind of like Timothy Oliphant. Timothy Oliphant did a really good job.
You actually wouldn't even think he was racist.
Yeah.
If you didn't listen closely. And that's the type of shit I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like he was like that's the type of racism that I personally have encountered. That nice white people racism.
Hey, never underestimate. That is the mantra I live by. Never underestimate well-intentioned white people.
Well, it goes to me.
Most well-intentioned white people could be dangerous.
The reason why I think Lovecraft Country misses the mark, it's the same reason why them showing you panel vans following kids in the 80s missed the mark. Those weren't the guys that are going to fuck with your kids. Yeah. It was your cousins and uncles and aunts and those are going to be the motherfuckers fucking with your kids.
Yeah.
And so, and they like, and so portraying racism like it's these obvious, like but that also, guy's a monster.
Within that is having to break down some of that American dream we were talking about earlier, because the American dream is you can trust the man across the street. You can trust family is the central unit. And so you have to be able to trust family, but there are outside agitators. There are outside forces coming to destroy you, and that you need this unit. You need to believe in this dream in order to protect you and keep you safe. You need to live in the suburbs. You need to live in these environments where we've built artificial safety for you. So you can't create, even though we're all in danger by people who look like us more than people who look not like us. You can't break the mythology. You can't break the dream.
Fargo season 4, it's so subtle you'll miss it.
Mm-hmm.
To prove your point, showed you who the true villain was going to eventually be. If you watch season 4 and then jump to season 2,
mm-hmm.
it's more clear because they kind of mesh together well. Actually, even season 3, I didn't even realize the connective tissue until season 4. But they showed you that it's corporatism. It's the banks that are going to basically ultimately own sharks and people that are going to be exploiting you while smiling in your face.
Right.
They're going to be very nice about it.
While selling you the dream. Hey, with that, I need to break for commercial because we've gone about 5 minutes over, and I'm trying to be really good about not making this a 3-hour show today. So we're going to pause for the cause, and we'll be right back with Hull and Hudd. So let me tell you about Anchor Podcast. It's the podcasting service that I use. Anchor.fm is the easiest way to make a podcast, and there are many different reasons why, but foremost is it's free. So you don't need to go out and buy a whole bunch of equipment. If you have a phone or a computer and a microphone, you can record and edit your podcast right on your phone or computer. So that's one major benefit, as well as the fact that they'll distribute your podcast to several different podcasting sites for you. Not only can your podcast be found on Anchor, it can also be found on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast as well. So you don't have to worry about going to all those different sites and setting yourself up. They'll do it for you. You can also make some money on your podcast. Say you have a podcast that only 5 people listen to on a regular basis. They don't limit you on how many subscribers you have to have in order to be able to make a little bit of change for your podcast to keep yourself going. So pretty much everything you need to start a podcast can be found at Anchor.fm. So go download the app either in the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, or go to Anchor.fm to get started. And I guarantee you, it'll make things so much easier for you, like it has for me. Crazy times, man. Crazy times.
It is.
It continues to be surreal even after 9 months. It's like, this is really happening. This is still really happening. This is like a type of normal, but also this is still really happening.
Yep.
And I think we should just go on spacesuits. Spacesuits would have allowed all of us to be together whenever we wanted, but we couldn't.
Hey, man, I go with, I forgot who said it on The Wire, but it's been one of those truisms. It's fucking with their money, only thing they understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the only way that we're going to get a certain segment of white culture to really, really like, hey guys, this is serious. Like, we should basically, like, I don't know why we didn't like fight, like all the things that convert into a war.
Mm-hmm.
It's eerily weird how there's no war on COVID.
There was never a war on COVID.
Like we fight other metaphors: war on cancer, war on drugs, war against polluting the ocean. No war on COVID, because of all the things that need to be fought like a war with military precision, this was it.
Oh yeah.
Like, arm your citizens to fight this war, and so it came in and just defeated us because, I mean, it's a clear lack of leadership.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know people, it's not just, I'm like, I'm I'm not trying to blame the guy. Like, I don't think the BP oil spill had anything to do with anybody. Even though Obama's worst president, look what he let the oil. They literally tried to clean that shit up as fast as they could.
Yeah.
Because hell, it's fucking oil. Like, you're watching your money get pumped into the oil. So like nobody has a vested interest in letting that shit go bad.
Right.
And you would think that nobody would have a vested interest in letting the country get sick.
Well, I mean, also, once again, the rich got richer. So that's one of the reasons it's been so hard to convince the people higher up that more needed to be done, because people who have relatively comfortable lifestyles with a certain amount of distance from other humans don't feel the burn as much as many of us down here.
Well, they do. They actually do feel the burn because, they get to see, hell, if you ever got your finances on a graph, then you're like, oh man, that graph just took a straight nosedive. I gotta get that graph back up. I care about this graph more than I care about these people.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, why would you? You're not in poor people's spaces. You're not eating at Denny's and Applebee's. You just know your Denny's and Applebee's stock has took a nosedive.
Right.
So, we gotta get that up. And I get that. So I'm not gonna act like I don't understand. It's just if you get it, then you understand that we have systems that suck.
Oh, absolutely.
That's really the takeaway that I got from 2020. I don't know what personal question you wanted to ask me. Is that I've learned emphatically that we have to do better than capitalism. It's
there you go, being a commie again.
I want to be. Hey, give me something else. Give me another title that doesn't make your nose sting.
Yeah.
And
no, that was one of my main questions. Like, what do you feel like 2020 taught you?
2020 taught me that if you put a money value on too much stuff, then the system will break down, because everybody's going to be like, well, what's in it for me? And so what used to be the American village is now the American casino.
Well, it's funny you say casino, because, man, the minute those machines stopped running, the country was like, we ain't got no money, though. It's like,
wow. It was like, wow.
It's like we've been calling ourselves the richest nation. It's like, oh, we don't have money for that.
We don't have no money.
We don't have money for this.
The biggest companies in the world, biggest airline. We kind of light, actually. Like, we just reported the biggest fiscal year, but it's something interesting about that.
Man, we really can't make bread right now, y'all. You want more toilet paper? I mean, we'll try and get some off the line, but, really.
And I get it. I get, supply lines and all that.
Supply chain. Yeah. It's a whole degree. Supply chain management is a whole degree now.
And it's been proven to be false. Now, when your system's running great, sure.
Well, when you build the system for efficiency, right? And not for actual production.
The human body ain't built for efficiency. That's why you
can build systems for efficiency.
Yeah, you
don't have redundancies because redundancies cost money. And why would you?
But you need redundancies. We got two eyes and two arms and legs for a reason.
No, because that's expensive. We should chop an eye off.
You actually can reduce your caloric intake if you get rid of half of your limbs, right?
Why do you need two lungs, Terry Hudson? Why do you need two? To be honest, it costs a lot to power that second lung.
If I got half the body, then maybe I can just cut everything in half.
Right. Everybody should just be a one-armed cyclops.
Because I'm putting around on one leg. I'm putting a money value on my body.
If you did, quite honestly, you're in the military, there's a different price if it's an arm or a leg than if it's just PTSD.
But check this out.
They monetize it.
So when you have a money value, let's say on a limb, like how much is your arm or leg worth?
Yeah.
That it's tunnel. You get tunnel vision, right? Like if I told you your leg was worth $100,000 and your arm is worth $200,000. And you'd be like, yeah, see, it's more valuable for me to keep my arm than it is my leg. But then I call you a dumbass. Like, it's actually more value to keep both your limbs because you can do more stuff. You're actually more adaptable.
Yeah, but I mean, I want to get the most value for my buck. Is what I need.
But value and adaptability don't cross-pollinate. You need redundancies. You need the fucking useless nipples on your goddamn chest if you're a man.
No, I don't.
You
what are you
do.
talking about? Let me get rid of those.
You need them.
They're just
you don't
aesthetic.
know why you need them.
Yeah.
But they're there.
Yeah, you're talking to a man without an appendix, Terry Huddleston. I don't
there
need
you go.
all this.
Oh, you're saying
some of these things are extra.
That because they got rid of your appendix, you were still able to survive.
Yeah.
That the thing that does what your appendix also does, now you're actually in the hot seat. Because now that can't go out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. I need that gallbladder and
yeah. So fuck that. I know. Nice try. But you were actually safer when you had two systems that could go bad.
No, I got like three.
Yeah, the pancreas, gallbladder, liver, and something else. There's another gland there somewhere.
Yeah, and the
gland.
Yes.
Who needs them?
Who needs them? They're all extra. So it sounds like 2020 taught you a little bit about efficiency being bad for the culture.
It's bad up to a point. Yes, you can run your business efficiently, but I wish there was this large institution that average Joes like you and me could funnel all our money into. And by doing so, it ensures that we have a safety net for societal needs that we don't have to worry about if shit goes bad.
I mean, you mean like some kind of governing system that...
Something like that. Something we basically pull our money together.
Okay. Yeah.
Its job is to basically take care of us.
Fulfill like municipal duties,
stockpiling, like let's say mass or guns,
resources, particular resources that would be necessary for the group should there be any sort of catastrophe.
Yeah, something like that. If we only had a system,
maybe even like plan for those catastrophes. Yeah, I feel like we've had this conversation before. Human beings are way more reactionary than they are, proactive. It's just in our nature to not.
Oh yeah, we don't want to lose things. We are more apt. You can sell somebody. You can get somebody to action quicker if you tell them they're going to lose something, fear of missing out, than you tell them they're going to gain something.
Yeah.
Especially something they never had. If it's something they never had, they'll just call it even like, well, whatever.
What are you even talking about? What even is that?
Like, dude, you have the potential to blah blah blah, right?
Yeah.
But if you tell them like, hey man, so you're going to lose, blah blah blah, all of a sudden they're like, wait a minute, nobody's taking away my ACA. Like, well, it's. Never mind.
Right. So next question. What do you think changed about you the most in 2020?
I became more cognizant of how I looked at people in poverty.
More? Yeah, because I remember dirt poor Terry Huddleston.
Exactly. But so there's a thing that happens when you go from being dirt poor to having means. And I've always fought against the Terry Huddleston great, therefore equal success story. But one story I didn't keep in mind is that our intrinsic bias against poor people.
Oh, absolutely.
It's pretty deep.
Oh, yeah.
And I still, to this day, catch myself saying stuff about poor people that I would get upset if a white person said it about me as a black person. Like, we talk about poor people like they're in perpetual minoritude. I'm going to make up some shit.
Yeah. No,
and so they're always lazy. They're always probably criminals.
Yeah.
They're always probably on drugs. They're always
implied. Yes.
They're probably always morally loose.
Yes.
Than you. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
it's a character flaw. If they didn't have bad character, they wouldn't be poor.
Right? That's the mentality.
That's implied. Yeah.
And that shit
totally wrong.
Once you grab a hold of that.
Yeah.
And one thing I like about it is I don't have to slap you with it. Like, Rich Hall, you're the evil, middle class bourgeoisie. Like, no, it's me. I get to flog it myself and realize that yes, there are some poor people that got bad habits. But I just watched a very rich man with the same bad habits.
Oh yeah.
As a very poor man run our country into the ground.
Oh yeah.
But yet, I still hear him get more praise.
Oh yeah.
Than a poor person ever would.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, hey, he's got 3 baby mamas. He's he's got 3 failed businesses too.
Oh, just 3?
I'm making up numbers.
Trail of debts. He's applied for bankruptcy at least 14 times.
Yeah, he's been in court. He's been sued. I'm talking about a theoretical poor he that will never ever attribute all that shit as a plus.
Yeah.
He's a loser, right? Because he doesn't have money.
But no, he says he's not. He says he does have money.
No, I'm talking about a poor person.
He's the only person who could save us.
What are we talking automatically
about? Are we talking about rich people or poor people?
We're talking about poor people, poor, evil people.
I mean, but if they just had money, why don't they just get better jobs, Terry Ellison? Why don't they just work harder, Terry Ellison?
They do actually work harder.
No.
That's another part of the revelation.
No.
You mean to tell me
if they worked harder, they'd make more money.
It's easier for your son. I always use whoever's kid I'm talking. Whoever's
kid. My kids into this, Terry Ellison.
I'm putting your kids into it. You're telling me it's easier for your son to put a gun in his pocket and walk around with a target on his back, stand outside and sell drugs all day long, than it is for his ass to fucking sit in a classroom and be bored by a math teacher. Nobody's gonna kill him.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. That's obviously the harder. If you know the choice, that's the harder choice. Has it been romanticized? Sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of danger in it.
But it's a
lot that would draw the human creature towards that sort of, lifestyle. Yeah.
We have an American system, this goes back to what I said before, that makes one of the hardest things in the world to do appear to be the easiest and laziest thing to do. Like if I just let your kid just go on his natural arm, people think, this is not true, but people think, well, he's going to become a criminal. This is where I kind of part ways with liberals. Like they kind of assume that the criminality is just way down. Like criminality is for people that are actually misguided entrepreneurs. And I'm not trying to spin it. I'm not.
Yeah.
But the motherfuckers got all the
type of criminality. Some type of criminality.
I mean, look, there's raping people and beating old ladies, but get the fuck out of here. Like nobody is talking about that type of crime. Yeah. The jails are full of people that sold shit to people.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We got a system that makes it easy for you to sell illegal shit than it does for you to sell something legal. Once again, I repeat.
You need to regulate. Are you advocating for smaller government here, Terry?
We got a system that makes it easier for you to sell something illegal than something legal.
Yeah.
And if you don't see the answer, well, how can we fix that? Make it easier for kids to sell stuff that's legal.
Oh.
I'm not saying legalize drugs. I'm saying if you give them a pathway to where, like, hey, I want to stand outside all day and my hustle is going to equal how much money I'm going to make.
Yeah.
Is there any industries like that?
Yeah.
They got rid of
talking trades, Terry Huddleston. Nobody wants to be a carpenter.
I'm talking basic paperboy. They got rid of that.
Well,
I mean,
nobody
that's
reads
not
newspapers anymore.
Yeah, nobody reads newspapers, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Paperboys used to be rich.
Yeah.
Jobs like that were a great counter to selling drugs. I know because I lived it. I've seen it.
Yeah.
Kids are like, man, I'm making more money slanging paper. They're getting people to put the drugs down and come slang papers at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Why? Because it was the easiest way to make money. They tell you, look, as many bundles you can deliver, we're going to give you stacks. You're going to get $100 a bundle. They're like, bet.
Yeah.
I'm already not afraid to die. So what the hell do I got to lose?
Well, hey,
we need hundreds of thousands of systems like that. Now it would change America. And COVID-19 was the perfect opportunity for an innovative leader to implement something like that. But we didn't do it. We didn't do it, and we I feel like we blew our shot.
Yeah, we did not innovate enough in COVID. I will agree with that.
We were like Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg.
In that way, that once again in America we've been taught there's probably a rich white person who could solve this problem for us. We just got to wait for them to do it.
They didn't.
We just got to wait, Terry Huddleston. They're going to ride in with their rich people solutions, and we'll get a shiny new solution, shiny new vaccine. Right?
You got two systems working against each other. You got the system of making people just fragile enough to do shitty jobs against making people rich enough to buy an absorbent amount of consumer goods. And those systems don't jive. You think they would, but they don't.
Yeah.
Because if they just wanted us to be consumers, then they just would redistribute money to us and then we would
let
spend
us buy it. Yeah.
We would buy a bunch of shit.
We would buy all the shit.
Terry, you communist bastard.
Terry, you commie.
Yeah. Have fun with your second red state socialism check, by the way. Whenever that comes.
What? No, it wasn't. I mean,
Yeah, have fun with that. Yeah,
it's just socialism
You're gonna love that red state socialism when that check comes. So
I got
again.
It hit my account today.
There you go.
I'm already paying down my car note with it, but whatever.
There you go. I didn't even know it came out. I haven't been.
Yeah, it genuinely hit today. I did not realize that it had actually happened. Like they moved. It was hilarious how quickly they moved with it, because it's like you could have done this months ago.
we talked about that in the previous one.
They're totally willing to let people die.
They hem and haw, and you're a healthy pink brain is realizing, wait a minute, yes, they helped me. Hold up. Did you wait till it was plot convenient? I was almost in the quicksand to throw this rope out.
Yep.
Because it took me forever to sink this low.
Right.
But yet,
wait.
And
I barely need. I'm surprised I applied for, or I qualified, because I don't need it. But there's a lot of people who do, and man, you got to them a little later than you should have, because they need it. There's some people who literally are like waiting for the guy to show up to put all their stuff on the lawn. People I know, and it's like, man, you just go let those people just keep robbing Peter to pay Paul.
So there you go. Well, they need to be more frugal with their money. They know how to handle money better.
Character flaw.
It's a character flaw.
Mm-hmm.
See how easy
that comes out? They quit buying steaks and lobsters with their EBT.
Yeah, they're terrible people. If they weren't terrible people,
well, we need to justify it, because the American dream says I can have whatever I want. So if you don't have it means you just weren't working hard enough to take out of them.
And look, I will
Pursuit of happiness. Pursuit of happiness. It's in the Constitution,
realm,
Terry. You obviously weren't pursuing that happiness hard enough.
In the corporate realm, there was a battle being fought in the 80s. It was puritanical America, save your money, put it in a mattress, don't overspend, don't overindulge, versus the opposite of that. Which is why every evil person, which is pastiche in Wonder Woman, was a Trumpian,
Yeah. We should get to Wonder Woman, shouldn't we? You did not.
I did that on purpose.
Good segue.
And so everybody assumes that she was taking a job at Trump. I think she even said it, but it really didn't need to be said. Like, every evil person was a Lex Luthor style, billionaire that wanted to do something draconian to poor people.
In the 80s, yes, they were not just more than Donald Trump.
So that was the 80s. It was the age of corporate takeovers. That's where the term came from.
Right.
Corporate raiders, actually. 80s and 90s. And so this kind of newly, like, everything's attack on Trump. Like, Trump wishes he was those guys.
Right.
But
he wishes he had the success.
Yeah, he never was quite one of those successful tycoons that was able to basically...
He could build the image, but he never quite got the ring.
Yeah, it's really strange, the image he had. Anyway, Wonder Woman. You loved it, right?
No, I did not say I loved it. No, God,
no. Let's keep the drama going.
It was a fairy tale, and I saw what it tried to do, and I forgave it, because it was square in the pocket of it did its best Richard Donner Superman impression, and I was like, okay, I guess I get it. It's not.
It did more than Donner. It took every sequel to every superhero movie from the 80s and 90s and some 2000s and just cribbed from them. Yeah. So it was Batman Returns. Everybody always fights me on that one. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Michelle Pfeiffer, geeky chick, turns into a literal Catwoman.
I see what you're saying.
Okay, and then it took from, obviously, Batman, Joel Schumacher Batman with Enigma, geeky guy that gets... Then you got fucking Spider-Man 2, where he's
definitely Spider-Man 2. Losing his powers thing was like, did something get dropped on the cutting room floor? Because that was the most plot convenient inconvenience. Like, what? She's losing her powers.
It was a very convenient inconvenience.
Right.
Because they would come and go right when she needed it to. Like,
right. Just to put her in danger a little bit. Yeah.
I can flip a car, but I can't. I think the one that they cribbed from, it wasn't a movie, that I think people are either willfully missing or they're just not quite old enough, because you had to live in the 80s. It's Quantum Leap. And so... Oh, yeah.
Hey, dude, you're square in Richie territory when you're talking about Quantum Leap. I love it.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't seeing, they're like, Chris Pine is in another guy's body. I was like, they're doing Quantum Leap, guys.
They're doing Quantum Leap.
It's rapey now, but it wasn't rapey then.
Well, you did it in Quantum Leap. Yeah. Quantum Leap. Sam Beckett had a whole wife and child. He never got to meet. I'm still a little sad about the ending of Quantum Leap.
That was like a tragedy. Like he went around learning different things, but he never got to go back home, I don't think. I forgot the final leap. I remember that was like an extra long episode. But anyway, so they're doing Quantum Leap.
I love that show. I actually recently watched an episode and was like, oh my God, this is still a good show. It's a really good slice of life. Tell a story about people in trouble. And then,
it was a perfect setup to pretty much tell whatever. If you got a writer's room that's solid, like, all right, we can literally tell all the story.
Yes.
Like,
I think they did. We watched one random, family on a field trip. Mother is, feeling she wants to go to college and the husband won't let her, and they're afraid she's going to leave the family. And it's like, they're really building a yarn here. Like, this is nice. There's not this type of storytelling doesn't happen as much these days because everything's all cop shows and courtroom shows.
Oh my God. We are a nation obsessed with the law.
Law and order, man. Law and order.
Both sides of it. Yeah. I think another thing too, this goes back to what I wonder if that's
going to change, because I will say the Black Lives Matter did kind of hurt the image of the cop a little bit in the public's eyes. And so I'm wondering if in the next season, pilot season or whatever, there'll be less cop shows, because they did talk a little bit about, maybe reducing the number of those, because the general public was like, cops aren't quite these heroic figures. We don't want to believe the propaganda.
Oh yeah. Did you finally see that?
What?
The propaganda videos I sent you?
Yeah, you've sent me some propaganda. I've watched a few independently.
Yeah, and look, I've never been one to be like hyper anti-cop.
Yeah,
But I never trust any institution implicitly that has people in it.
Mm-hmm. I've had enough bad run-ins with cops that I'm like,
same. But I've had enough bad run-ins. Once again, I'm not overly sensitive to my bad run-ins with cops versus my bad run-ins with you name it. Right? Like, I feel like when you kind of pick and choose, like, hey, all the Catholic priests are pedophiles. Like, no, some of your relatives are pedophiles.
Right.
Like, don't try to like cloud it off like all the cops are all the abusers. No, they're not.
Yeah.
But don't be acting like the cops ain't got no cop problem either.
Right.
That's what drives me nuts. Like, y'all ain't got no cop problem. Like, just like saying America right now literally has a white problem.
What?
Like, the biggest race problem we got is white on white.
Is whiteness. Yeah.
It's white on white. Like, white people hating other white people.
Right.
I will
74 million white people hating the other 70, 80 million, or no, actually it's like 60 million.
People being bigoted, biased, and prejudiced against brown people is part of the RPG system that I grew up with. I understand that playbook. I've never seen high elves fight other high elves. Like, what the hell is happening?
Right.
Like, what in the name of D&D glitches is happening? And so I'm actually more comfortable. Like, wait a minute. You could just go back to hate me, guys. Like, don't fight each other. Like, we're used to it.
No, they have to. I mean, to be honest, many of the advancements came because they fought amongst themselves. It wasn't like, they didn't fight a whole civil war amongst themselves because they couldn't come together on what they thought should happen to the minorities. So Wonder Woman 84, thumbs down. Wait, I'm sorry, where were you going to go?
No, I was going to say, just to the point, people are like, we need a civil war. It took us this long, and we're still not even over the first one. We don't need a second one, guys.
Oh, God. I'm totally anti that, because that gets messy so fast. And honestly, the Civil War was born at a time where we would have a good cleansing riot every so often. Like, back then, like, I think now we have, I'm going to say more civilized. Like, we're just more passive aggressive now. So if we went full on aggressive, like, oh my God, America would not return from, because just the way we could wage war on each other would be so gruesome.
There's no America. Like, if you want to basically misnomer a war because they won't let you outside for COVID, imagine, because you're like, hey, I want to go to the mall. Imagine if there's no mall, dumbass.
Right.
You think he's going to be able to just go around while the war is happening? You're going to be mega quarantined. You got enough canned goods to survive a battle of attrition? You probably don't.
Right.
Like, nobody should be. Nobody.
Literally, people roving the street, murdering with impunity because
people. If you want to get a glimpse, look at other 90s Africa, pretty much.
Yeah, no. Look at what was that nation that went into when we were in high school? Armenia? Which one? One of the nations went into a full...
Oh, you talking about Kosovo?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that one too. Actually, that one happened around... That one dominoed into the African genocide. So it was all part of the same... People were just cutting up across the world. And I've never seen, to this day, they don't show news like that anymore, that many bodies. And the fact that they were brown bodies made it even more sensitive to it, just scattered across the ground. And different forms of decomposing. Like they didn't even bury, kids, women, men. It's just such a gruesome image that, you see the internment camp stuff and you're like, your brain can kind of like, all right, whatever, you know, because it kind of forms this abstract because they're all pale white. But to see people in their clothes and it made me a eternal pacifist when it comes to that. Like I'm not advocating for anybody's war, especially if I'm not willing to fight it myself.
Right.
And I'm not.
Right.
I'm not willing to fight somebody else's war.
Yeah.
So Wonder Woman,
What was your favorite piece of media, via television, movie, music for 2020?
It had to be, once again, Fargo season 4. That really
Fargo season 4?
It impressed me with its deft handling of race. Like I said, it's easy to make look evil white people, but they didn't do that. I liked every single character in the show, and even the bigots and racists, because everybody was a bigot and a racist. Yeah. The white people didn't want the Italians in their hospitals, and the Italians didn't like the blacks, and the blacks didn't like the Italians or the Irish, and so it was one of the truest depictions of early America. And they had the phrase that made me that show's bitch when the little girl that's narrated says, and it shows the different race groups in the room, she says nobody black was in this room. Even though clearly the Irish and Italians are considered white now, it's something that people kind of forget, that they had to get grafted into whiteness later. Right. It was kind of a reward for the different wars that we went through in our history. That's another story I would love to see. I have to do it myself, is the grafting in of different race groups over time in America.
Yeah. I remember that did set my brain on fire when she said that, because I remember thinking, oh, that's right. It's like one of those things you forget, or it's like, I know it, but it gets brought up so rarely that when it does, you're like, yep. Hey, white people, y'all wasn't all white people.
Y'all wasn't all white people.
They slowly but surely let you into whiteness.
And it goes back to what we said before. Now, as a hypocrite, I'm like, man, wait a minute. Y'all just team back up because y'all scary when y'all actually start delineating within your own group. Damn. But anyway, so that was my favorite piece of media. It got me to go back and watch season 2 and 3, and I really had a deeper appreciation for those.
Nice.
Especially season 2. That was, because the little kid from season 4. This is a spoiler for anybody who ain't watching.
Oh yeah, I know where you're going.
Yeah. So that was, and man, I had a whole new appreciation for that guy, because he was. Even though they obviously did season 2 before 4, you could see exactly where he got his personality from. It was. I love when shit can work retroactively,
right?
And it doesn't feel
that's
like
hard. And that's once again, as a creator, that is hard.
Yeah, so I'm a sucker for that, which is why my bias for Watchmen is high, because man, dude. Every single shot is perfect.
Even all the Ozymandias stuff, even all that.
Once again, I think if you ever, it's meant to be watched with some meta knowledge, and if you go back and watch it with that, you'll be like, "Holy crap, they nailed it."
Yeah. Did you watch Soul yet?
Yeah, I did.
What did you think?
I liked it. I know people have problems with it.
And a lot of people have a lot of problems with it. I liked it.
I knew they would. I was like, they got a white woman in a black man's body. They're gonna.
I liked it. I had some issue with, Pixar is at this point paid by numbers. Like they're pulling off the same formula every time.
Yes
Grizzled
and no.
Old person, naive young person go on an adventure to solve a problem that has to be solved in 2 hours.
No, I
saw the trappings on that.
You got to compartmentalize Pixar though, because they got. I also watched that movie with the 2 kind of troll kids or whatever that they got half.
Onward. I haven't actually seen that yet.
That was hot garbage. Like that was embarrassingly bad.
It faded from the public memory.
And so when you say paint by numbers, that was the one that was really paint by numbers.
Definitely paint by numbers, yeah.
Not saying that Soul wasn't, because, you know, it was, but I think it's much like Black Panther. Whereas if Black Panther would have picked any other subject, it would have been a mediocre movie. But the fact they picked the hardest, like if Disney said, Terry Huddleston, what do you want to write about? Transracial politics is the last thing coming out of my mouth. Right? Like, and so they took what would have been a mediocre plot and made it about transracial relations. Yeah. The same thing with Soul. Like Soul and Inside Out. They're dealing with some heavy stuff. I feel like we need more preschool level, I'm joking, but not. Psychology like this.
Yeah, psychology, yeah.
Because we don't have enough metaphysics in our country as far as the junk food we eat. So it's all cops and robbers and good and evil.
Because there was no antagonist in Soul.
No. I mean, it was, but the killer was in the house, you know, spoiler. Yeah. But
ultimately, no, though. Like, you know, it was just a guy. It was a bureaucrat trying to do his job, but ultimately, he wasn't an antagonist so much as a number cruncher. Like, you know.
Well, there's that, and I do like the fact I've never ever seen a movie where somebody was like, you know, fuck your dreams, and meant that shit. Like, and was not the bad guy. It was like his mama, like, man, fuck your dreams.
Yeah.
You know? And as a person that draws men in tights for a living, I felt that shit. Like, she ain't wrong. She ain't wrong. You better put some damn foot on the table with them dreams.
Right. I liked it. I just felt like I saw the paint by numbers element of it. And if nothing else, I respect him for it. Like, oh, okay. You just keep getting to pull off the same, like, since Buzz and Woody, you get to pull off the same, throw one person into an unusual scenario, he meets his partner, they have to get to the end of this together, and the old guy has to soften and save the other guy. Yeah.
Actually, I'll tell you something. I don't know why I framed it like it was a question, but so I realized that there's certain things that, like, you know me, I'm Mr. Gotcha. Like, I know exactly where to source that from.
Yeah.
But what I'm realizing is, and it kind of goes against me, is that some things turn into genres in and of themselves. And so they end up setting genre conventions.
Yes.
I think it could be said that, you caught Pixar, but I think they know that you know. Pixar movies are a genre now. Like, you already know it's going to be two opposing characters, Odd Couple, Jack Lemmon and the other dude, Walter Matthau. Yeah. I still get street cred. They're taking that formula, and that's their base. Like, okay, we got to put Shrek and Donkey together, even though that ain't Pixar.
No, but it's Buzz and Woody together.
Yeah,
and basically Mike and Sully together. It's
extrude the most drama that we can.
Yeah.
You know, so
and it's all manipulation, and it's still you know the story, you've heard it before, but it's still entertaining because
it'd be akin to you going like, man, there was a murder in this murder mystery, like yeah, man, like that's the genre, that's Pixar's genre, like they're not doing action movies and all that. I mean they did Incredibles, but still that still was a big guy.
Incredibles was one of the ones that was kind of outside of the formula a little bit.
First one was.
Yes, the first one. Yeah.
I don't like the second one as much.
It's not the same.
I don't hate it.
Yeah.
But it felt like it's too self-aware.
Brad Bird should go off and do other things. Don't bring him back to this. He doesn't.
I'm going to tell you a movie I thought was great. Like, it surprised me in its greatness because it should have been paint by numbers. And that was Ratatouille. I love that movie. Ratatouille was great.
Ratatouille was good.
Yeah, it was great. Just go ahead and say it was great.
It was good.
So we could do it. It was great.
It was good. It was good.
I think you mean great. I think that's from an old Kids in the Hall skit where, like, this guy's trying to get this other guy to say, like, intense, and he's like, you know, it's fine. He's like, I think you mean intense. It's like, nah, it's okay. I think you mean intense. The guy just won't say it. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
That's that fantasy.
Anytime we can veer into Kids in the Hall territory, that's or you know, I like bits. I like a good bit.
I think you mean intense.
Well, no,
I mean, it's kind of funny looking. I think you mean intense. I'm gonna go back and watch that now. But yeah, so
there you go.
So there's that. You know, but 2020 has been weird when it comes to media.
Absolutely. Very weird. Like, it's hard for me to even, like, what was the thing I loved the most? I'm going to probably go Mandalorian because that's the thing I loved more recently.
Yeah, that's the thing everybody's loved more recently.
Yeah.
I think Mandalorian single-handedly saved 2020.
For some people, yes.
I think collectively, like, there hasn't been, like, one thing that people collectively agree on more than their love of Mandalorian. And really Grogu.
Grogu. You're saying it all.
Grogu. I'm saying it phonetically backwards.
Yeah, you are. You're really yoding his name right now.
There you go. Nice. That's like a triple point tie-in right there. Good job.
Right.
But now I got my problems with Mandalorian, so I know.
You brought them up in the last episode. Yes.
A sucker for like all the. But once again,
but we haven't had a chance to visit this. How do you feel about the Luke payoff? Do you feel like it was worth it, or?
I'm really glad they did it. Only because I know the fans really wanted something like that. Like I said, Star Wars is bigger than any one person's taste and style. So I think by doing that, it was a kind of a retcon of like, hey, we're not gonna have cranky Luke be the last time you see Luke's story. Yeah, and I think that check got Disney pretty much all the goodwill. That Ahsoka, I mean, they literally skint the cat with this second season of Mandalorian. They gave the new fans something. They gave the Clone Wars people's fans something, and they set up the future to where the future is kind of bright again, and it's not depending on one chosen one, because they got Grogu's, who knows what's going to happen with him. I'm hoping he doesn't show back up. I don't need to see more Baby Yoda.
You don't want to see him?
Right now, I don't mind him popping in. It'd be tight to see him, as 3 foot tall, 100-year-old man.
Yeah.
Who will be a teenager, I think. But I don't like. You could tell they were run out of stuff to do with him, even in season 1. And you gave the biggest meme where you were like, the biggest superpower he's got is finding a babysitter, no matter what planet he's on. Anybody with kids knows, like, man,
Right. You got to go solve a real problem, and you just go leave this kid with somebody. Like, no, that's
he's literally just leaving him. Like,
right.
But once again,
he'll be safe. Yeah.
You had to suspend your disbelief, and it's like I said before. There's genre conventions, and mashing up the 3 Men and a Baby conventions with a Western.
Yeah.
It almost worked. Like, it mostly worked. I brought up Lone Wolf and Cub, which is the better one of that. Because the kid could like do shit in the cart. Like you came at him in the cart, like he would push buttons and knives would pop out and mess you up. So he didn't seem like a big meat bag that was helpless. And they kind of, nerfed Grogu in this one, because he didn't really. I thought he would use his force powers a lot more to do stuff to people because they were setting that up. But
I think they just sort of once again, Ahsoka dropped that line of he's regressing. That he was trying to protect himself by being more babyish, so less force powers this time, and like I thought it was interesting that he went from being kind of just a thing that's there to he kept getting him in more trouble kind of throughout the second season. So I was like, okay, at least he's effective.
Well, he definitely became the point.
Complications.
Yeah, he became the point of the second season. Like, hey, I'm gonna get him, which is what they promised. That was the check they wrote. That hey, we're gonna get Grogu somewhere.
Yeah, I'm a little curious about what they'll do next season because it's like, what do you do if it's not Lone Wolf and Cub?
Oh, they already set it up. They already set it up.
Invested. They have. Are we going to be as invested without the baby puppet?
You are. Let me tell you why. They exchanged a living MacGuffin for a more classic MacGuffin, right? So now he's got the Darksaber, which is the thing he doesn't want. That he's forced to babysit. It has a key to this whole big wider part of the universe that he doesn't want anything to do with because he just wants to be left alone. And we know this, due to this plot device, that he's going to be dragged through a part of the Star Wars fandom that we've been waiting to see for a long time, live action. So it was a great plot device exchange. Like it's you got a whole planet now that's like values that he's got a built-in enemy. And we kind of respect her, like, oh man, Katie Sackhoff gonna give him the business. I forgot her name and thing, which she's established from the show. So now you have a non-established character with an established character, and a few others. And she's like the perfect candidate because she's not big enough for fanboys are going to lose their shit if you go in certain directions with her. You know, we get to see, you know, more femme action. I think they're in a good spot right now. They're in a good spot.
It is. I enjoyed it definitely.
And the Luke payoff worked. The CGI wasn't up to
CGI was dodgy. CGI was definitely dodgy. But
I suspended disbelief and was like, all right, here's what they.
I see what you're trying to do. Yeah.
I really wanted Sebastian Stan. I don't know why. Just give me that one thing that would have been so.
I don't know.
Perfect.
When did we get this in our collective consciousness that was going to be the best? Because
he just looks like the damn dude. Like
yeah.
It just would have been the coolest. Like I probably would have like lost it like a schoolgirl. Had, you know, I don't know, people were disappointed because they wanted Mace Windu, but
I wasn't too disappointed. Luke was like, oh, if you wanted to make me happy, go ahead.
Yeah. No, yeah, I appreciated that they actually, like I said, they went for it. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel safe, even though it didn't feel like the safe choice. Like like I said, the fans usually go nuts when you deal with canon shit, so it's always been a fucking dynamite stick every time they do something with canon, and you know, I think they pulled it off effectively. And it's the Luke I want to see. I'm not gonna lie. Now I didn't mind grizzled Luke as much as everybody else did. He did not. I
didn't either. There's some people who are really mad about it, but I did not mind grizzled.
I felt like my knowledge of Akira Kurosawa samurai films kind of. Yeah. I knew exactly what they were doing. Like, oh he's definitely the old samurai now.
Yeah. Without a master, and what is he even supposed to do?
Yeah, he had some points that I've been saying for years.
Yeah.
That, you know, shit, the Jedi are terrible at their job.
Jedi were terrible.
And so he kind of said I've been saying it for decades.
Which is hard to say because, you know, as kids, all you ever wanted to see was the Jedi. And then we got episodes 1, 2, and 3, and you're like, oh crap, they're not that great.
Now, I've always said, much like certain Marvel superhero characters, like you can't have too many Jedis. It's better when they're in the background of the wider plot. And so that's why the Ahsoka reveal in this was perfect, because you have this awe, like, oh my God, what is happening? Who is that? You know, and then they fade back into the background. You know, especially if you think of New Hope, not a lot of lightsaber action in that movie.
No.
Now it's become like the thing in the newer movies, just like lightsaber battles. I mean, what was it? The Last Jedi? What was the last movie that just came out? Star Wars.
That was not The Last Jedi. The Skywalker. What was it called? Crap.
Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. There we go. There we go.
Jesus. Yeah, that movie had way too much stuff stuffed into it, and it felt like an apology.
Yeah.
That didn't need to be told, because I didn't mind the second movie. I'm not saying that other fans didn't, but I felt like a lot of the anger could have been paid off a lot better if you would have gave them an innovative third movie. But now it's cemented forever because the payoff never happened. And they wrote those movies a lot like people do DM and Dungeons and Dragons, where it was J.J. Abrams that wrote Rian Johnson into a corner. He was the one that didn't put Luke into the first movie.
Yeah.
But for some reason, Rian Johnson got all the heat.
He got all the hate. Yeah.
And it was like, well, he's not the one that put Luke in the... Like, Luke wasn't in the first movie. The J.J. Abrams movie didn't have Luke in it. Like, why are y'all tripping over this dude? And look, not everything worked. Some of those jokes fell flat. Mm-hmm. And actually, as the trilogy went on, I liked Poe and Finn like less and less. I just felt like they were useless characters.
Oh yeah, they
went nowhere. Like I'm all for diversity and all that, but
which was
useless.
Unfortunate, because there was once again somebody said, I don't know who said it, but like it might have been you or somebody else with a good head on their shoulders about it. What is that guy? Bill Burr.
Mm-hmm.
He showed essentially what should have been Finn's arc. That, you know, this is what it is to be a stormtrooper who's left the war. All right, like to be a person who committed atrocities, has a conflict about it, and now has a rage against the Empire or something. Like somewhere along the lines of have some feelings about the fact that you've joined the rebellion.
They needed either Poe or Finn to betray them.
Mm.
And they could have did where there's some shit programmed where they just like Order 66. It seems like the clones were programmed to turn. There should have been something to where he like legit all the way turned to the dark side or some shit, or even Finn or Poe, where when the chicks didn't let him be a pilot, he was like, you know what, I'm gonna go somewhere where I can flex, and it just would have been a cool turn going into the third movie, but it was just toothless. And still the best thing is Adam Driver. I'll fight somebody over him. He's the best thing. He's one of the best things about Star Wars, period.
Oh,
and I know
no one's gonna. I mean, there are some people who they gave him a lot.
But as far as giving a villain a personality, he's the best Star Wars villain with a personality. I know Vader is the top cheese or whatever, but Vader is generic bad guy up until like the last second,
right? Where
the mask comes off. And Emperor is also generic evil warlock. You know what I mean? And which they reprised that role. So if you think I'm wrong, fucking go watch the new movie and you'll see that, man, that personality type doesn't line up. But as far as somebody that I felt like had darkness in him, like Luke did in the third original movie, Adam Driver did it for me. I was like, I believe this guy's darkness.
The real conflict.
Did they pay it off? Hell no.
No, they did not. They really nerfed it.
But they could have. Oh,
if
they could have. They did not.
Yeah.
So at this point, my favorite Star Wars thing is still Rogue One. Out of all the stuff that isn't the original trilogy, Rogue One is still a jam.
Yeah. I mean,
it's the Winter Soldier of Star Wars movies for me. It's quick. It's very genre specific, and it moves. It moves at a pace where you're not like, even if you didn't like it, like it's over before you know it. And nobody lives, so you don't have to worry about it.
They all die. You don't have to ever worry about.
You don't have to worry about it.
No franchises here. And then
even though they are making one.
Right. Prequels, never underestimate prequels.
Well, what's funny though, I did say I wanted to see more of that world when I was watching it in real time.
You're totally going to get it. And I think that's when Star Wars is at its best. You want to see more of the corners of the world, whether you get it or not. I think when it's doing its job, it activates the imagination. And I think that's one of the things that The Mandalorian was getting right, where you were often like, well, what happens with that guy? Oh, you're going to give him a whole show? Okay. So these other Mandalorians, I mean, what's going on with them? Oh, they're going to be the whole next season? Okay. But like, I did not feel that for the other two movies. It was just, they're literally that scene where they're just hyper jumping through the beginning of what do we just call it? The Skywalker saga movie?
Rise of Skywalker.
There we go. Where they're hyperspace jumping through all these different locales, and you're like, oh, that's a neat trick, I guess, but I'm not in any one place to care long enough. That was basically those three movies. It was like, oh, I should I should want to live in these environments. And, you were in Dagobah literally feeling, the weight of being in this swamp and kind of wishing that you could go be trained by a Jedi Master yourself. There was no moments in these other movies where
ultimately the biggest fuck up.
I want to be here.
The biggest fuck up, and you never do this in stories unless you got fucking balls of steel, is make the most interesting part of the story already happen. Like, make that the flashback.
Yeah.
Like, make the Jedi Academy and Kylo Ren, excuse me, I got dyslexia, going nuts.
Yep.
That's the movie. Like, what are you guys doing?
We want to see that happen.
Like,
we don't want that happen in the past.
Like, out the gate, you're like, oh yeah, fuck all that. We're just gonna rope. We're gonna have to waste valuable plot time roping this new girl in. That ends up being oh my god. Oh, guys. Guys. That's rough. Like, and the thing is, if you read any of the Star Wars extended lore, then you know that they don't have to be relying on these fucking basic ass bad guys. Like, Emperor Palpatine is cool, but there's way many more cooler people.
But in the Star Wars universe. Books of them I hear.
They got guys that come back and are resurrected and yada 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 that you could bring in. But to me, they didn't even set him up properly. No matter who the big bad was.
No, they did.
Kylo Ren should have been the big bad. He should have been sitting on the throne. Doing his thing, and he's killing somebody Rey loves, yada yada yada, and it comes down to them, and but no, he's like running around like he's a goon or something. Like, dude,
yeah.
Well, the Emperor, like, oh man, they fucked us up.
We shouldn't re-legislate Star Wars movies. That's just a time sink.
It is.
Any big thing that you want to look forward to in 2021, or change you want to make? What do you think? What do you got ahead of you?
Right. And I was going to say, I'm looking forward to, as far as movie media, superficially, because I think yours is a much more deeper question. I'm still looking forward to Black Widow. That's going to slap to me.
Really? I'm looking forward to Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, TV show wise, but I got a soft spot for Taskmaster. He's like my guy. So once again, implicit biases towards that movie. Plus, it just looks fun. Like if I looked at the Wonder Woman trailer and nothing about that made it seem like it was gonna look good. Oh, it wasn't. It's just her fight. She doesn't have a fighting style worth a damn. I'm sorry. It's just like to see her swing around like Spider-Man and slide around like Cirque du Soleil. Ain't cutting it. So I'm gonna need a little bit more meat on the bone as far as her. She needs more brutality. They're trying to make her into Donner Superman, but Wonder Woman's a cool character in and of herself. It's like, why are you trying to fit her into this Girl Scout thing? Like that's never been her thing, like ever. And so it's just weird to me. She's like a beauty pageant superhero to me.
Yeah.
I just want to spread love and peace across the world and give everyone a hug. Goodbye.
You save the world with truth. Yeah.
I'm like, Wonder Woman wants to punch every man in the face because we're shit. And that's what I like about her, because I got kinks, I guess.
Well, I mean she did start off as a kink.
She did. A lot of people don't know that. But I'm not saying that she has to go back to that. But I feel like, give me some Atomic Blonde, Charlize Theron style, Furiosa once again, Charlize Theron, Ripley, Gina Carrera and Haywire. Give me some MMA, like she's putting people in grapples, something interesting to look at. It's just like I was kind of laughing when she's twirling the rope around, blocking bullets, and that scene kind of goes on for a little too long. So it feels like that's her one move. Like I'm just gonna block bullets with my rope, and it's just like you had a whole shield before, but I guess they want to get rid of that because it hurts the peace thing. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. And so I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing how, on a real note, how 2021 shakes out, because with my career, it's heavily dependent on
absolutely
people gathering, and me being the pessimist that I am, I'm an optimistic pessimist. I'd rather assume that this year isn't going to go well as far as large gatherings go. Like there's nothing that I know now that makes me think, everything's going to be fine in 6 months, because I think people are underestimating how slow large countries move.
Yes, I totally believe that. And it's weird. The whole thing has been weird, I would definitely say, but it's definitely been weird how quickly people assume this is going to go back to normal. It's like, no, that's not how.
No, sir.
Think about how slow our descent into this was. Now, flip that. Because that's where we are. We're on the this is going to be a slow ascent out.
Yeah, I feel like this was the first time I seen I want to speak to your manager pandemic. People just kind of wanted to talk to whoever's in charge and complain about how inconvenient this pandemic is.
Yeah.
And it's like, guys, it's deeper than that. It's actually happening, wait for it, to people. Like it isn't like a button that can get pushed. It's like turn the pandemic off. Like this is literally viral inequality. If it was a virus, like this is why we don't want it to spread, guys. Because if you let it go unchecked, it just gets into everything, and then everything becomes harder to put back the way it was. And now you have to live with this system where you have to make even more sacrifices to get what you consider a baseline normal. Because I'm starting to sink into the fact that masks just may be a part of the American experience. Because I'm thinking about it like, man, I might probably wear a mask permanently.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, in your business, the idea that, you're trying to get back out there to see people, like, you should probably consider that wearing masks from now on and keeping hand sanitizer is just going to be the way of life. Like, just, as often as you're on airplanes, sharing other people's air, nah, bro.
I mean, plus on top of that, this will make you shit yourself a little bit. So I apologize, anybody listening. What if it happens again?
Oh, yeah.
Like, we act like, well, we went through our pandemic and I'll see you in 100 years. Mm-hmm. Nah, it can happen next year. It can happen later on this year. We are still unprepared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I mean about putting a money value. Like, well, it costs too much to what? Be prepared. It costs too much to stockpile missiles and military gear just in case we get attacked.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't know how being prepared for, something that could kill us worked. I'm sorry. I got it all wrong. I've been watching too many of those laptop movies, I guess. But it's and so I use institutions that people don't even think about. Like, we don't care about how much missiles cost, how much tanks cost. You don't even know how much it costs.
We don't. We should.
You don't even know how much. You don't know how much one F-22 or is it F-23? They might have upgraded fighter jet costs.
Yeah.
You don't know. But we're really so curious.
Care more.
Yeah.
But we don't.
It's like, well, what if? It's like, y'all don't really care. Y'all just using this to basically couch your ideology inside of a money cost. Like, well, it makes sense for me not to like it because it costs so much.
Yeah. Humans, man. Humans are crazy.
So I'm looking it up. Do you know how much an F-22 costs?
Oh, don't
look it up. Look it up.
I don't, and I won't. So go ahead. $4 million.
You are woefully underpriced. So the entire F-22 production costs were $62 billion. It costs $339 million per aircraft.
Wow.
Now they axed it. It never went through because we switched to drones and we don't really need that much. But the fact that that's not numbers that they threw out to you. They didn't give a shit about what you, the general public, thought.
Right.
About a $62 billion project.
Yeah.
We can't afford to do healthcare though, bud.
Yep.
No.
Do you want to sleep safely in your bed at night, Terry Huddleston, or not?
They can. Yeah, I does it matter if a fucking airborne virus comes in and kills me in my sleep at night?
Do you want to sleep in your bed? It's safe knowing that the bad guys can't come get you, Terry Huddleston.
Which bad guys are we talking about? The people that own the deed to my house if I still own payments? Or,
no, see, look at you making it all
about terrorists. Like, they're going to come all the way to middle of nowhere, Indiana, and get me.
Yes. Be very afraid. They're coming for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. No, not. I mean, I get it. Trust me. In early 2000, they did
I don't think you get it. I don't think you get it.
Making you feel like terrorists were not only were they backwards, but they were also way more advanced in their cunning. Like they were this backwards barbaric race of people that also could build cave networks with high tech stuff in it and could pretend to be college professors and regular people, only to turn on a dime like Winter Soldiers and destroy you. It's
fear. Terry Huddleston, fear the boogeyman.
Yeah. I mean, but the enemy always has to be worthy, but also less noble, right? Like they're morally compromised, and they're kind of weak and effeminate and inferior to you, but they're also have all the leverage of power. It's a weird dynamic how people get wrapped up in that.
Yep. You're not getting it. You're just being a cynic.
Well, isn't it China that's out to get us? Who should I be mad at? Give me a race group.
Be mad at all of them.
Give me
anybody who's not you. Just be afraid of all of them.
just channel some anger towards, then I'll do it, damn it. Hey, you want me to hate myself? Because I will. Maybe I'm the problem. If people just quit asking for stuff and work harder, then we'll make it somewhere as a country. Instead of asking for a handout, I'm the problem.
You are. You genuinely are. I'm glad you could recognize that.
And so that being said, I'm going to get on the internet and blast out my self-hatred to everybody else.
Yeah. You need friends.
Like we do, like Americans do.
Right.
Well, like I said, man, if you're like, hey, my name's Rich Hall, I'm evangelical, fill in the blanks, and I believe that psychology and da-da-da-da is the key to happiness, but yet you're the angriest fucking person I know, then take you and your fucking ideology and stick it up your ass. Like, I learned that from
People love to be commiserate in that anger, so they're going to like it.
But they also want to sell you on the fact that their lifestyle is the best, and they're angry because so many people aren't living the lifestyle. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the irony for me is that I learned this from the Bible, Apostle Paul. Like basically get on people's level to get them to convert to Christ.
Yeah.
And it's such great advice. I mean, Alec Baldwin updated it in Glengarry Glen Ross. Get them to sign on the line that is dotted. You don't fucking go in trying to antagonize people into changing. That never works.
Yeah.
But if you go in and go, hey man, it looks like your legs hurt. Let me wrap that up. Hey, while I'm down here, let me tell you about Jesus. Let me tell you about socialism. Let me tell you about whatever it is that you're diametrically opposed against. But I feel like even if it doesn't work effectively, we'd have a country full of more palatable people. If we were willing to. I feel like black women know this. That's why they're able to code switch better than any people group in the country. Until you heard your mom talk white on the phone, talk a different way to the church people, and then talk a whole different way to her girlfriends, you ain't heard code switching.
Yeah.
Like we do it, I do it, but not as effectively. I'm literally, it's like a fucking magic trick when I hear women do it. Yeah. Holy shit, especially black women. Like they go from whole different things because they know how to cater and pander to whoever it is they're talking to.
Yeah.
And they get the results of that. We blame them for it. Like, wow, women, they pretty much tricked you into giving them everything that they got, which isn't true. It's just they know how to use the five senses we got to manipulate their environments like we're supposed to do. But men, I think we're kind of handicapped because we really hadn't had to be charismatic, right? We hadn't had to be charming and all this shit to make shit happen because we lived in a society that automatically said because you have this genitalia, then you're owed a measure of respect. You don't even have to earn it. You're a man, damn it. Act like it.
Yeah.
Right? So you already got a jacket you can put on that's pretty awesome. And then you don't live up to it, right? And they tell you you're a failure.
Yeah. No, you know what? I actually meant to have a conversation with you because I've watched a lot of red pill stuff.
Why? God, why?
Just out of curiosity more than anything else.
It is. Well, if you go on with a spacesuit on.
Yeah. No, it's fascinating.
It is fascinating.
It's like, wow.
But I only can watch that shit filtered. Like, I can't watch it, like, straight. I got to watch it with...
Well, I kind of fell into it because I watched, I know you probably heard of the Kevin Samuels thing where that one black lady was called Average. I don't know if you saw it or not, but it was a really big thing for like. Kevin Samuels is this guy who does like dating advice and brand image management and all that. And he has a show where he streams on YouTube. And this girl calls in and she starts asking for advice on how to get a high value man. So I didn't even know there was a whole industry of.
I did hear about that. I didn't know.
Yeah. And then he basically tells her, you're how do you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? How, what's your size? Like all these things. And essentially tells her, you're not bringing a lot of things that a high value man would want. What do you think you could offer a man? She's very inarticulate in how she can sort of explain herself and express herself. around these ideas. So he just basically trounces her. But he is, you know, he gives her male type advice, like the type of advice a guy would give another guy. Like, look, man, right now you ain't good enough. So you need to get your life together to be good enough. And that's not usually how women talk to each other. So there's a lot of like right now in the way the culture is baked, you can't just say stuff like that to a black woman and, you know, people aren't going to hate you for it. And so I by watching that, and then, you know, that stuff starts coming through my feed a lot more. I'm getting a lot more reactions to that video. And then by virtue of that, seeing like, oh, there's a lot of guys out there promoting, you know, this kind of what I now know as the red pill lifestyle. This, you know, very testosterone.
There's a lot of women too, actually. I mean, because it's a grift. It's a grift, right? It's like it's like a diet supplement, right? It's gonna make you lose weight in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So really, you're watching somebody that's using all kinds of shortcuts to get there, and then they're selling it back to you like, dude, you want to be me, right? Right. And what's fun is we talk down to women for looking at Oprah and all these other female.
Yes, it is definitely the version.
We do the same thing. We look at fucking, if The Rock had a fucking YouTube thing on how to be him, we would fucking watch it. Even though it's a fucking pipe dream. Like, it's so many genetic markers that have to be hit for us to even be in the fucking ballpark of that. But I've never understood, and probably because I grew up with all women, so I'm definitely biased for women.
Yeah.
Men that simultaneously claim that all women shouldn't try to get a high quality guy. Like like that's bad. Like, you know, there's many songs, you know, back then.
What I thought was interesting is
now I'm high.
Not necessarily that they shouldn't. I think one of the things that he was saying was, if you don't have access to this type of guy, you shouldn't necessarily think of yourself as better than every guy you ever meet, because you don't necessarily, you don't have the access, nor are you quite as accessible as you think you might be. And, you know, I find that, you know, kind of like, oh, I mean, there's definitely something to be said for proximity. There's also definitely something to be said for, you shouldn't entertain any nigga who darkened your door, right? Like, all of them ain't worth your time. But I do think there's also something to be said for the messaging that women get, that there is this perfect guy out there.
But no. See, that you had me. That's the message we all get.
Yeah, no, I think we all need to, like...
We all get that message. That's not a women-centric thing.
No,
there's fucking guys out there that fucking look like you and me, but yet their fucking bio is, I want a girl that's athletic, no kids, she's got to make this. But like, man, motherfucker, if you don't get out of here...
Right.
With your non-athletic ass.
Right.
But, so, you know...
I definitely...
It's one of those things I
agree that... I think our messaging around dating and relationships is definitely broken, for certain.
If anything, man, I think the fight has been like, I don't care to, like, I'm not gonna die on that hill, but if I'm standing on either side of the issue, I'm standing with women, just because wherever, every point you can find where a woman is wrong about this, that, or the other, like, men have got away with 100 times more. Like, for every time, like, oh man, she's a slut, she's this, she's that. Like, I can give you like 10 examples of men that started like 3 families in 3 different cities. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
yeah. So, like, I ain't really trying to hear that. Like, you know, really the battle of the sexes frustrates me to no end. Because I feel like it's manufactured.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a manufactured thing. It's just like white on white violence we're seeing. If you could just gin them up enough and make one side feel like the other side has an unfair advantage, bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah.
But what I've been doing is laying traps for people. I'm using everybody's cognitive dissonance and their biases is actually a potential trap for me. It's great. Because the minute you go, like, man, I feel like women are treated better, and they get to sleep with the boss, and they have all these unfair advantages I don't have. Yeah. And then I get to you got to recontextualize it. Like, oh, so what you're saying is that this other group is intrinsically has more resources to, you know, make sure that they're able to get more numbers. So it's almost like they're genetically superior to you.
Yeah.
If they're able to basically manipulate their environment. And nobody wants to hear that shit. Like if I said that shit about white people versus black people, like it's almost like white people are smarter than black people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they keep winning, right? So and obviously the answer is patently false.
Yeah.
But once you show people the ugly side of what they're actually saying, then they kind of renege a little bit. They renege a little bit on the ugliness of it. And once again, this works with left and it works with right, because you have to call it out, because this is how shit seeps into the system.
Yeah.
The system of isms. Because it ain't, and one thing I do want to stress is that racism is the least of our problems. The least of our problems. It's a problem, but it's the least of our problems.
Yeah.
Like it's just one of the many flies in the soup of America. I've said this a million times and with other conversations with other people. Jay-Z don't want you or me on his lawn.
Yeah.
Because we're poor. Right?
Yeah,
we're not welcome.
No, I remember I was supposed to get tickets to Rock Nation Brunch because that's where I need to be. Because Jay-Z can give me advice on how to be a better person.
Yeah. Jay-Z looks down on you and me.
No.
And that poor white boy that's going to be sitting next to us.
No.
None of us are on his mental level in his brain because we don't have the finances to back that up.
We haven't proven ourselves to be a success. That's really all it is.
The same way we look at a poor person when they're approaching you. You're like, man, they want something.
Yeah.
That's the same way they look at us. The super rich look at us the same way. Oh, they want something.
Yeah, yeah.
I think what makes us more diabolical is that we, overall, as a class of people, even though I'm an artisan middle class, I'm still in the middle class, we are pretty much the police of the poor. We're always going to be in positions to manage the poor. If I had a job that was paying what I get paid as a skilled laborer, I'm a middle manager. I'm a guy that's running a bunch of other people that are probably less well off than me to degrees. They're not all abject poverty, but they're definitely less well off than me. Otherwise, what's the point of me being their boss if I can't have more money to work less, right? We have another weird fuck system. That's what I'm saying. They're paying me more money to make more people work, do my job.
Yeah.
Which means every day I don't do my job, I'm less effective at my job.
Yeah.
As far as what the actual job is. Which doesn't matter to upper management. Long as things are getting hit, they're like, hey, here's another raise.
Yeah.
And, the hierarchy continues.
So long as you're making money, no problems.
But as far as opportunity cost goes, we're missing out on the fact that one loser guy that we paid $10 an hour probably has the idea that could fucking revolutionize our company.
No,
he'll never get a shot.
He'd be in charge.
He'll never get a shot because we're never letting him up here.
Yeah, no, why would we? What are you talking about, Terry Huddleston? Wow.
Harsh flickering.
Thank you, Terry Huddleston, for calling in.
No problem.
Definitely appreciate having you on our 2020 wrap-up episode, the year that was 2020. Look forward to more conversations in the future on Holland.
I'm sure there's going to be more. I'm not sure about a lot of things, but I'm sure there's going to be more to talk about.
Absolutely.
I'll bank on.
Yeah. All right, man. I gotta go.
All right, man.
It's almost 1:30 in the morning.
It is.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yep. Have a good night.
Yep. See you.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, man.
The Hall Space Podcast is brought to you by Hall Productions, LLC. Show notes and credits can be found at our webpage, thehallspacepodcast.wordpress.com. Any questions, comments, or concerns can be sent to us at thehallspacepodcast@gmail.com. The show is written by Daggerpin Davis. Music is curated by DJ Cabal. The show is produced by Chuck Jones and recorded at Slash and Trash Studios. If you like what you hear and you want to hear more, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I hope you all have a good week. House Hall. We rise brilliantly.